Hello, hello. Welcome to A Bold and Distant Future. We're the news program that tries to cover the entire week in 20 minutes. Stick with us, buckle up, hold on. If you get flung out, hey, jump back in again somehow. My name is Roy, and we're joined today by Craig. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to seeing the world in 20 minutes.
Yeah, let's try it. It's, again, I tried to order the topics from least serious to most serious at the end, so they get a bit heavy at the end, but there's some heavy stuff, I guess, at the end, but
Mhm.
what a jam-packed week of things. And you were saying something just happened early this morning that if it dovetails in with one of the topics, please share. I haven't heard anything. I haven't watched the news at all this week. I
Yeah,
mean, not today, I mean.
right, I will. It's the Supreme Court's decision on whether a uh, local or regional level judge can make a decision that embraces the entire country, or whether or not it can be limited to a smaller scope. So all of the work that's been done in the judiciary to say, no, Trump, you cannot continue to transgress these laws, now is being challenged. And he's having a press conference today calling it a great victory, just like he called the attack on Iranian nuclear facilities a complete obliteration. So, bending the truth.
Yeah. Well, here's one truth he wanted bent is the reporters say that this is the one picture that Trump wants removed from the internet. You know what
Oh,
to do. I
gosh.
love these things.
Yeah.
Immediately when I see that is, of course, an image from the big parade.
Oh, it is as they're
Yeah.
arriving. And so he's in his limousine and there's no one in the bleachers. My
Yes.
gosh.
Empty bleachers.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
followed Harry Shannon as well and just love the audacity. Well, it seems like audacity, but it's just a simple truth. What we used to be able to just say as reality. So now we just censor that, expunge it, and create a new narrative. Yeah, interesting.
There are a few topics I think today that relate to that. Their suppression of truth, their suppression of
Mhm.
or promotion of their version of reality, and the suppression of any other opposing viewpoints. It's very,
Mhm.
they're trying to manipulate reality,
Mhm.
you know, and
Yeah,
that's pretty hard to do. You're gonna
yeah.
have
That
quick.
picture speaks so strongly, and for that just to be available for people to see and make their own informed decision, but instead looking to curtail any critical thought, any analysis, any perspective building, except the party's dogma.
Well, somewhere in Idaho, they put on a straight pride festival, and only 50 people showed up, which I thought was hysterical.
Life is a comedy. If there were a contemporary Shakespeare, this would be the first scene in a wacky comedy.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what that says about Idaho. Maybe Idaho's a little more gay than we thought. I don't know.
Yeah,
You go, Idaho.
yeah, you go.
What a grim event.
All right.
A straight pride festival.
Yeah.
Wow. I did see some image of a trans woman that was trying to get into one of these events. It may have been this event or another one. It's one of these straight pride events, and she was, denied access.
Yeah. And this right away that makes me think about the that anti-affirmative uh, movement, um, affirmative action movement, wherein the idea of if you do something to honor or support or recognize or identify with one group of people, then you're discriminating against another, and how fallacious that argument is. And it's the same here. What is the need for straight Pride Day? Nothing. There is no need for it because all of the world um, is either prideful, boastful, or not about straight, being
Yeah.
straight. It's only those groups that have been marginalized, and they're wanting to say, "Look, we there." we deserve the recognition as well that it's an issue. So this idea, the fallacy of saying, well, because this group now has more attention than the larger group, therefore we're discriminating against the large group. No, that's anybody with the common sense and the logical facility in their brain still functioning would be able to see, no, that's misguided entirely.
Yeah. Well, hey, this ICE detained a Norwegian tourist who came in, was trying to enter into the States, and was denied access because they had this picture, this JD Vance meme on their phone. So they
Wow.
must have had to hand over their phone, and they searched through it and they found this image. And they denied this Norwegian tourist who was just here to visit, they denied him his tourist visa or ability to come into the
Jeez.
country
Wow. Just because of a meme.
just because of a picture on his
Yeah.
phone,
Yeah.
which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why this is going to be our thumbnail this week.
Yeah.
So we'll make this our thumbnail on the Zoom on the YouTube channel. But a woman I know wanted to. She wants to make T-shirts for Chicago, but I don't think I want to do that. But
No, if you had not predicated the picture with names, I would not have even drawn the conclusion. So,
it's a morphed example. But this, they're trying to suppress our. I don't know
our
what
criticism.
our criticism, our critique, our
Yeah.
satire.
Yeah.
Where are we when they're trying to suppress satire? Gosh.
Yeah.
There's a Norwegian movie, pretty grim. I think it's called Number 24. It's all about the resistance against the Nazis during World War II in Norway.
Wow.
And I watched it the other night. It's all subtitled in Norwegian actors. And there was a lot of stuff I didn't know that went on. I still haven't watched the one about Quisling, which is I know he was a Norwegian, I believe, that kind of joined the Nazi party, as many, not many, but quite a few, I believe, Norwegians did. And then when Norway was occupied, they were involved in that. But look for Number 24, interesting movie.
I will look for that. Yeah. And
This is the segment of heroes and villains. Quote the Beach Boys song in honor of Brian Wilson, who we lost. Senator Slotkin was questioning Hegseth very, very hard, and a great fire attack from her. It's become a meme. I don't know if you've seen this particular one, but
I have not.
if you Google it, she basically says, "You have no balls,"
Oh, wow.
because she asks some very pointed questions, very interesting. And then this woman, fantastic, Senator, I believe, Duckworth,
Yeah.
she was great too. I think it might have been at the same questioning where she had questions for Pete Hegseth. I don't know, these strong, powerful female voices in our government seem to be more effective.
Oh, good for them. Boy.
Yeah, smashing down these ugly male egoists, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. And the older I get, and the more I'm enjoying looking at the broader picture of our history, I realize how the patriarchy is, that male testosterone driven linear focus that has been the Western civilization's history. It's just so troubling that we continue to play that out again and again and again. That narrow-mindedness, that target-driven kind of mindlessness, disconnected, disassociated reality. And it's great that women are stepping in and saying, no, there's a much bigger, more important, rounder, fuller perspective that needs to be taken in. And then having the balls to go after these people who try to blindside us every day with more male testosterone.
Yeah, aren't there more female Americans than male Americans?
Yeah.
If we get them all registered to vote,
Hmm.
they can have a huge impact. I don't know what the percentages of voters, male, female, were, to Kamala and Trump, but
Hmm.
I think quite a few females do still support Trump.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
But I think if we show up their innate sexism and
Hmm.
misogyny, then we
Yeah.
can, maybe we can get some more ladies on our side.
Hmm.
Well, this happened in Venice, which I thought was refreshing to see another country
Yeah.
come out against Jeff Bezos. Venice
Yeah.
protesters claim a victory as Bezos changes his wedding venue.
Yeah.
And they unfurled this giant banner out in a city square somewhere in Venice that reads, "If you can rent Venice for your weekend, for your wedding, you can pay more tax."
All right. Love it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who was behind it. I mean, they're talking about American tax policy in
Hmm.
Europe, which
Yep.
is so mind-boggling because how many Americans know anything about European tax policies?
Right. Exactly.
You know?
And I love the size of this. If we take any of the humans, that it must be 40 yards by 40 yards. The size of this banner is enormous.
Yeah.
Wow.
That gives me some hope that
It does.
there's a sea of change or a wave of resistance outside of our country that
Hmm.
the world is watching how this thing plays out,
I think that's
you know?
very powerful insight. Yeah. Whereas before, the criticism of the American ethos and the American capitalist system was always present, but now we're seeing it and inviting it at a much deeper level, which is looking at the absurdity of what it is that we do. And it makes me think again of that preaching of American exceptionalism, that somehow we were different and better than, that was so prominent, through Rush Limbaugh and all those jokesters. But if we go back and look at history, every empire has thought and argued and stated it was exceptional for its time and perhaps for all time. So I say that because it's so great for people to now in the United States to begin to absorb and be interested more in the world's opinion of who we are instead of continually just looking into the mirror and saying we're great.
Yeah. Well, this happened in New York City.
Yeah.
It's the Zoran Mamdani
Hmm.
won the primary for the mayoral race. I don't know when the actual elections will be held, in months or something, but it looks like he's going to go up against perhaps a Republican opponent. I
I
don't know how,
love this. Yeah.
but and he's a democratic socialist who's
Hmm.
leaning far left. And I mean, that gives us some hope that there's going to be pushback.
I
I
love it.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe New York is not a good indicator of that. Maybe this doesn't mean the whole country is going to go this way, but parts of the country, this to me is a very, interesting piece of the puzzle.
And I love that too. What really sang to me with his win was that he's 33 years old. So now we have a millennial
Yeah.
who is, because as boomers, we just need to be pushed out of the way. We're making very bad decisions about the future of our children and grandchildren. And to have now a new voice emerge and be recognized and see its value is really encouraging.
Yeah, it's a good message of hope. They have
Hmm.
they have a future to think about. They're not 83 years
Yeah.
old,
Hmm.
and they're thinking. They're energetic, and they're open to new ideas, and it is a hopeful sign in that way. Maybe it'll motivate other young people
Yeah.
to get involved.
Yeah. And in the way, Pete Buttigieg has
Hmm.
been doing that for some time now. Now, if we see more and more of these voices emerge, younger and younger, and not be marginalized like Buttigieg or AOC has been, and instead become a core voice, could be very powerful.
Well, Representative Al Green stood up and called for impeachment on the House floor. The other fellow who was going to do it, who was from Michigan, whose name I don't recall, he kind of backed away. He said he'd put forth the papers, but then didn't pull through with it, didn't follow through with it. But Al Green did, and it was voted down, but he did put it through. And someone had to. But the odd part about it was that many Democrats voted to table it. They didn't want it brought out. They did get an overwhelming number of, I think only 79 members of Congress voted in favor of continuing the impeachment. They tabled it, so it's dead in the water now, but I don't know what their reasoning was. I haven't heard any Democrats explain why they voted that way. But I think it was 100 of the 79 that voted for proceeding with impeachment. I think I want to say like 130 something voted against proceeding with impeachment.
And it's interesting because that serves as a litmus test of many things, but one is whether or not there is the strength to move forward against the far right in that manner, using the impeachment and or other legal processes, because it's been thwarted twice earlier in Trump's first term.
Well, here are the numbers. I put the screenshot up of the numbers. And so it was 79 voted. Well, they voted nay, but if you were voting nay, that means you wanted to not table the issue, right?
Oh, I see.
And so if you voted yay, you wanted to table the issue. So 128, that was the number. 128 Democrats voted to table it. 79 voted nay. Well, let's keep this thing going.
Oh, good.
All the Republicans, 216 Republicans voted to table it.
Yeah.
So it lost. But I still haven't heard any Democrats explain why.
Yeah.
Maybe there are reasons that I don't understand, not understanding the the House of Congress that well. Maybe they didn't feel. I think it was primarily due to the bombing in Iran without any notification or consent from Congress was the primary reason that motivated the call for impeachment.
I see. Right.
That's what my understanding is, but it didn't happen.
Interesting. We'll follow that and see. Yeah.
Yeah, keep our eye on that one. But the fact that the other fellow who was going to do that call for impeachment backed away, he was a congressman too, whose name I can't remember, but he backed away from it because he was pressured by the other Democrats. Well, this is probably the most depressing news, and it feels like the beginning of World War III. And
it sure does.
Now I don't know what it's turned into, but this is the strikes back and forth in Iran and Israel. And you can see the little red dots. I thought these maps were pretty good. But then I have another map following that shows the 3 bombs that America was responsible for on Iran. So they've been bombing back and forth.
Yeah. And what we're seeing now, if we look back enough, although it isn't being discussed at all, but this was well planned. This was planned well in advance. Remember, Trump took one of his earliest trips abroad was to Israel. And so certainly this isn't, an improvisational response to opportunity. No, this is a well conceived and thoroughly planned, at least from the Israeli perspective, attack.
Yeah.
To establish a new, I shouldn't say new, but a recurring attempt to, create a certain, a single power block in the Middle East. And this is about power. This is about dominion. This is about hegemony, and has nothing to do with oil. It has nothing to do with nuclear. Well, I shouldn't say nothing to do. Nuclear power is the vehicle for this, but this is just a power grab. It's a power move to reassert U.S.-Israeli hegemony in the Middle East, carve up the world again.
Yeah. I mean, I was going down the road of thinking this is bringing about the apocalypse of the
Yeah.
World War III, and I kind of feel like a lot of these Christian nationalists want to bring about this, this
Hmm.
final war,
Hmm.
to bring on the second coming. It's this, I hate to say it, Christianity is a death cult.
Yeah.
I'll let other people say that, but I've heard people mention that prospect. But this still certainly feels like they want to bring about death
I know it does. Yeah.
and the end of all things,
Yep.
and they're just tempting it in. They're like, teasing it out.
Yeah.
It's like, we've got a very angry country, and well,
Hmm.
they've always said death to America in Iran, but now they really,
They mean it and they have reason to mean it. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just,
They're justified in the anger they're experiencing. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So,
again, the fallacy of Trump's actions in going back into his first term and tearing up the nuclear agreement that had
mhm,
been established.
yeah,
And that was moving toward, responsible development of nuclear power. Um, but to just disregard it and then come back and this to be the final well, I shouldn't say final outcome, but the newest outcome of a failed engagement with different people. It's troubling.
well, I feel like our show today was not a failed engagement with different people. I feel like we did a good job covering the news in 20 minutes,
I agree. Yeah.
and just gathering the headlines and putting them here in this little reel has been enlightening, and discussing with you, Craig, is always a pleasure. I want to thank you for being here today.
As well, it's always such a pleasure to try to harness the power of the event and see if there's a bigger picture, a deeper understanding behind it that gives us some sense of why the world continues to engage in these behaviors.
Well, thank you for listening, anyone out there, to A Bold and Distant Future, and we'll see you guys again in a week.
Sounds
Live,
good.
live from Chicago, if it works out.
All right.
All right, take care, Craig. Take care.
Thank you.
All right,
You too.
bye bye.